It is beneficial for everyone at any level of consciousness to experience a deep rest, to know how to come to this deeply restful place. And there are stages of this restful place. One of the compelling motivations of meditation for the beginners is to find some peace and silence from the chatter of their mind, from constant thoughts. For those who have their energy bodies activated, it is beautiful to be able to rest from all the energy pulls, highs and lows and disbalances, whatever your chakras are interacting with. When it comes into that moment of stillness and balance, then you can rest in the deep breath of the moment. One can rest in the beingness of presence, for one is no longer interested in the energy dynamics and wants to be the space for those energies to rest from the dynamism. And that's how one may arrive to the non-dual space where nothingness is experienced. The next major restful place on the great path is the great void, where once again we learn to deeply rest, to rest even from the light of awareness and all phenomena that are seen by awareness. The great void is a secret passage, a deeply restful voidness, nothingness, yet in a much larger extent. And this is where one may become aware of a deeply unconscious movement, what arises. It is the greater unconsciousness. Rising above into the divine full consciousness and greater light. It is yet again important to be able to go back into the restful place. As Buddha described it, the emptiness, the openness. To rest beyond the content, beyond all phenomena, all appearances. So what we normally do is we go back to the void for rest. We go back to the great unconsciousness. Being fully conscious, it is quite enjoyable to go back into the great unconsciousness. For there is less and less hidden material, the causal material, and more peace, deep rest. For as long as you have vehicles of consciousness, such as this body, emotional, etheric, higher self, and all other vehicles of consciousness, the great void is the most restful place because all of these vehicles of consciousness can rest. And it is simply equated in the same way as all of you experience every night. When you go to sleep, and if you're dreaming, you're not resting because dreaming takes energy. It's an activity. You deeply rest when you are in the unconscious sleep state, deep sleep state. And that is where the body rests deeply. That is where the healing happens. Everything harmonizes, everything heals. The brain reorders and processes everything. Many times the dreams are simply the processing of the brain, catching up of what happened during the day And when it catches up, then it turns off, the mind turns off, and the brain then can rest because it has processed everything of the day. And now it can go into recovery mode instead of processing mode. So just like you know that you need 8 hours of beauty sleep, the same way on your spiritual path, you need to learn to rest at whichever stage you are. Resting from the knower is deeply available in the great, great void because even, for example, in the silent beingness or the non-dual stage, the knower is still present on a half sleep mode. It is still present. I am still here, silently here. And when we come to nothingness, there is a relief, and there it turns off for a while. But in the great, great void, we go much deeper behind it. And typically, the knower is positioned in your third eye center. That's where the impulse resides to know, to understand, to comprehend. So even now, as you're listening, you may notice that there's an automated process of understanding. There's a little bit of effort. And if you simply place your attention behind your third eye center, you will recognize that it is more fulfilling to be there rather to be in the third eye center and trying to comprehend what I'm saying. So resting from the knower is deeply available in the great, great void and to some extent below. This is where we get these realizations that it is not the knowledge that we're seeking. It is not to know more that we need. It is not yet another realization, but we're truly wishing for the heart, for the wholeness, fulfillment, and freedom to be. So why one is unhappy? Because 99.9% of everything that one thinks and does, puts the effort, is for oneself. While in reality, there isn't one. And when we come to this deeper wholeness, deeper restful place, beyond the knower, all that effort ceases. So in the same way, we do not have an ego. One is simply attached, possessed by the idea that there is myself. And around this idea, things are wrapped up, and the knower is poking this idea of myself. And the knower is trying to unwrap this idea of myself. While in reality, there isn't one, because what you truly are is the openness, the space, the transparent present aliveness, which then is filled with the light of God. And the more empty we become, the more supreme light may enter one's being to truly realize who you truly are. So when we reintegrate into the emptiness, it is then that we start recovering our spontaneity, our aliveness. Then we have no assumptions, no habits, no fixed ways. So spontaneity is being in the present emptiness, which is in the present, where you have no idea what the next moment will be or what the next thing you may say to another. And to integrate in this emptiness is, in other words, to work through the conditioning, discard it into emptiness so that you may be more of that emptiness and make more space for the light of God to shine through. And once we start discarding, releasing the habits, the usual ways, the automations, we may enter that restful void, restful space, emptiness. There is no need for any concern or fear because the true you does not disappear. What disappears is that which is not truly yours. And the fear is all in relation how strongly you hold to some idea of who you are, how strongly you hold onto what you know, and are you willing to make more space for more emptiness? So I really love when working with people, we come together to these stations of rest, and especially the great, great void, because that is where, on one hand, we go every night to sleep and deeply rest, but we completely turn off. But when one reaches the ability to enter the great, great void in meditation, it is where we may consciously rest. And we may consciously rest even beyond the light of awareness as a subject, because even this light of awareness becomes a subject. It also becomes tiring. In reality, even that light of awareness is the light of Par Brahm. It is a created light. And that light still takes some effort to abide in it, to be one with it, to be it. Of course, today's non-dual teachers and traditions will negate this aspect because for them awareness is the ultimate. But essentially we know that there is a secret passageway into the great, great void. And then we open to the light supreme, which is not created. The divine light of Sat Purush.